What's up, coders, and welcome to episode 5 of this data dashboard series. In this episode, we'll be looking at root guarding to protect our routes from unauthorized access. And the way we're going to do that is by using middleware to action the process of the user going to a page and just capturing that moment beforehand and saying, if you aren't logged in, you're not going to be able to use this page. So the dashboard and all the other pages that are subroutes of the dashboard. So if that sounds interesting, make sure to like and subscribe below and follow me on the Hashton on Twitter to follow along with the data dashboard series and any other series that might come in the future. But otherwise, let's go do some root guarding. So to give you an idea of what I mean by root guarding, this is a problem we highlighted in the last video. So when you click around and you access the subroutes here, so we're in dashboard settings right now, and then we decide to log out, well, you can see we still have access to settings, but we aren't logged in. And in fact, we can still access all the subroutes of the data dashboard. But the problem is, this is unauthorized access onto these routes, which is not what we want. Especially if you're planning to scale this up, we have to protect what a logged in user can see and what a non-logged in user can see. So in order to resolve this situation, what we're going to need to do is actually create some middleware. And in Next.js and in NextAuth, it's very, very simple. All we do is we create a middleware file and we export the middleware method. So if I go to the source directory, and you can create this in the root of anywhere where your components and pages will be. You can put it in the pages if you want, pages folder, or you could put it in the source folder. We're going to put it in the source folder here, and we're going to create a new file called middleware.ts. So we'll create that. So what we need to do is we need to import with Auth from NextAuth, and essentially it's a middleware module, and then we export it as with Auth. So what this is doing is essentially saying we want NextAuth to handle these pages in this way and take us to these pages. These are the ones that matter the most right now. So for sign in, we want to say we want you to go to the sign in page. To sign out, we want to use the sign out page. And if there's an error, we want it to go to the error page. And to verify a request or for any new user, so for example, if you're using sign up or email, if you're not using like a Google provider or a GitHub provider to do logins, you can use these pages and they'll be very handy. So again, for scaling up, this is a really solid set of ways to handle unauthorized access and how to handle authorized users as well. So this is what this middleware does, and with Auth takes care of that for you. Now there's lots of different suggestions on how to write your own middleware for Next.js out there, but this is probably one of the easiest ways to get set up, and that's one of the amazing things about NextAuth. So let's go with this one now. You can see this kind of explains what the others are. These probably don't really need explanation, but what we do need to do is create these pages. You can see that we're using Auth for the base for all of these. So we need to go and create that right now in the pages section. We go here to login and rename this because we don't need it as login anymore. And we'll rename it as Auth. And then within here, and we'll create a new sign in folder with a sign in component and an index.ts. Right, and we'll go to login here, grab that, pop this here, and just put sign in, and change this to sign in, and then we can delete these two. Brilliant, and we've gone ahead and created all those pages now. So all those subroutes within Auth are now made. So NextAuth now should be able to read all of these through the middleware, take us to these pages when we're using NextAuth. Now, the first page we really need to edit out of all of these is the sign-in page, because that's where a lot of our work on this data dashboard is going to take place for logging in and things like that. So we can see here we've got a very simple sign-in page or login page. We kind of want to upgrade that a little bit. So what we've done is we've used a material UI to add the box component. And the box component has some basic styling. You can add a class name if you want, which has all of these in, but because they're very basic layout type of class names, we don't really need a separate class name for them. It's not a repeatable component, so we're probably only just going to use this once. So if we're using granular complexity for styling, this is absolutely fine. And this is great for layout component styling. The second part is we're using the session from NextAuth to tell whether someone is signed in or not. And we can tell that if they are signed in, we want H2 to say thank you for logging in. And if they haven't signed in, it will say please log in. Now all of this will be made clear when we go and take a look. Now what we also want to do is we have a component for logging in. It's called the login component, and it's in the component section. And we just need to edit that, which is the actual component that users will use to sign in. And eventually you can customize this to include inputs, create other providers, or anything you want really. You can completely customize it. For now we're keeping it very simple with a sign in button which takes you to the NextAuth login provider, the Google provider, and then you log in through that. So we've got this right now, and it just needs a little bit of updating. So what we want to do is just simply remove this H2. So if we just delete that now and then save that, and there we go, that's tidied up. So we don't need the H2 because we've got the H2 in the sign-in component, which is here. Because we've got that, we don't actually need this. That should be everything. So let's go test this out and see if the middleware's worked. So if we go to the home page now, we can see that this is all slightly more styled in, and it's giving you a slightly better user experience. It's asking us to sign in, so let's click here and sign in, and automatically NextAuth is redirecting us over here, and we'll just sign in, and there you go. It's taken us now to a different state within the login component, and the login component recognizes that we've signed in, so it's switched the buttons and it's switched the H2 text. And we can also just go and check out all of these different pages. So we can see the settings, the data, and the profile. So we'll stay on profile and then we will log out and see what it does. So it's completely signed us out now. So we're no longer seeing unauthorized pages that we shouldn't have access to from being logged in. But let's see if we can go and access the dashboard via URL. So we go to dashboard and we'll go to profile and try and access it just by remembering the path name. So the middleware has now kicked in and captures all the attempts to try and access those pages, and it checks to see if the user is authorized or not to access that page, therefore root guarding our data dashboard. And that is root guarding with NextAuth in Next.js. It was a shorter video than we're normally used to in the series, but a very important video nonetheless, and a very important step as well. We now have all our routes guarded, and we've made sure that we've prevented unauthorized access. Now the next step, and probably one of the best steps that we're going to do in the series, is doing the charts. We're actually going to be setting up the charts using charts.js in the next video. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow me on the #HashedIn on Twitter. Until then, I'll catch you in the next one.